Hello students, welcome you all back to my channel Hans Commerce Tutorial. After completing the subjects of Advanced Accounting, Corporate Accounting, Business Statistics 1, Business Statistics 2, Financial Management, Investment Management, now I am going to start the new subject, that is Financial Accounting 2. So I thank all my viewers. They are giving so much, they like my lectures. So I'm getting a lot of views and comments from the viewers that they like my way of teaching, and you can find all my subjects in the playlist of my channel. So keep watching. In this subject, Financial Accounting 2, I'm going to cover up the topics of bills of exchange, then consignment, joint venture account, accounts from incomplete records, and accounts of non-profit organizations. These 5 topics I'm going to cover up in this subject, Financial Accounting 2. So I suggest the students, please watch the video till the end. Don't skip in the middle. After watching for 4-5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you skip the video, then definitely you cannot be able to get anything from this lecture. So if you want the perfect lecture, if you want to have good knowledge on the subject, watch the video till the end. Then only you can be able to get a good grasp on the subject, on the topic. You can enhance your knowledge by watching the video till the end. So I expect my viewers that they should watch the video till the end. Now I'm going to start the new subject, that is Financial Accounting 2. The chapter is joint venture. Joint venture is a temporary partnership without a firm name between 2 or more persons for a particular venture, and they will share the profit or losses in the agreed proportions. The parties individual to this joint venture are called co-venturers, and the business will come to an end as soon as the venture is completed. The liability of the co-venturer will be limited to that particular venture only. So simply we can say it's a temporary partnership. Joint venture is a particular temporary partnership undertaken by 2 or more persons. As soon as the venture is completed, the contract will come to an end. So in simple words, we can say joint venture is a temporary partnership. Right? Now we'll come to the features of joint venture. The main feature of joint venture, first of all, it does not have a firm name. Second, the joint venture is undertaken only for a particular operation. So that's why it is called a temporary partnership. The individual parties to the joint venture are called co-venturers. And the next feature is the purpose of making this joint venture is to share the profits of the venture among the co-venturers in the agreed proportions, or if the agreement is silent, they will share the profits equally. So these are some of the features of joint venture. Then differences between joint venture and partnership. See, we can say all joint ventures are partnership only, but all partnerships are not joint venture. Simply we can say, in a crude sense. But what are the differences? The first difference between joint venture and partnership is a partnership will have a firm name. A joint venture will not have a firm name. The parties to a joint venture are called co-venturers, and the parties to a partnership are called partners. Next one is a joint venture is undertaken only for a particular venture. As soon as the venture is completed, the relationship will be over. But in case of partnership, it's a long-term agreement. It's not for a particular project, particular venture. Similarly, we can say the profit of each venture will be calculated separately. Whereas in case of partnership, the profit will be calculated annually. These are some of the differences between joint venture and partnership. Joint venture is only a temporary partnership, whereas a partnership is a long-term agreement to do a business. These are the differences between partnership and joint venture. Now, differences between joint venture and consignment. Many differences are there. The first difference, in a joint venture, the parties are called co-venturers, whereas in a consignment, the parties are called consignor and consignee. First difference. Second difference, we can say, in the case of joint venture, The objective is to share the profits in the venture. The profits of the venture will be shared by the co-venturers in the agreed proportions. Whereas in case of consignment, there is no sharing of profit by consignor and consignee. The consignor is the principal. He will give the goods to the consignee. The consignee works for commission. So one party is getting only commission, not profit. Profit will be the consignor will get the profit. This is the difference. Next is in case of joint venture, every party will be a principal as well as agent. Whereas in case of consignment, the consignor is the principal and consignee is the agent. He will get the commission. Next difference between consignor and consignee is, in case of joint venture, each of the co-venturer can buy the goods as well as sell the goods on behalf of the joint venture. But in case of consignment, the goods normally will be purchased only by the consignor. The consignee's job is to sell the goods. Next difference we can say like this. In case of joint venture, some commission or interest will be payable to the co-venturers according to the agreed ratio, agreed terms. But in case of consignment, commission definitely has to be paid to the consignee. Commission is compulsory in case of consignment, whereas commission is not compulsory in case of joint venture because they will share the profits. So these are some of the differences between consignment and joint venture. Now we'll come to the next topic, methods of keeping the accounts. Normally the accounts will be kept according to the needs of the co-venturers. According to the requirement of the co-venturers, they will maintain books of accounts. So there are broadly we can divide into two methods. When separate set of books are kept, when no separate set of books are kept. In this way we divide the methods of accounting into two categories. First, when separate set of books are kept. Normally separate set of books for co-venture, for joint venture is kept when all the co-venturers are staying at one place and the venture is quite a large one. Actually, what type of ventures will be taken by co-venturers? Example, for sale of goods or for construction of a building, for underwriting of shares. These are the cases where normally parties will enter into a joint venture contract. Now, when separate set of books, this separate set of books will be kept when the joint venture is quite large and when all the co-venturers are staying at one place. So at that time, separate set of books are kept. When separate set of books are kept for joint venture, then three accounts will be opened normally. The three accounts are joint bank account, joint venture account and personal account of the co-venturers. So these are the accounts to be maintained when separate set of books are kept. First, joint bank account. Actually, joint bank account is a real account just like a cash book. All receipts will be debited, all payments will be credited. For example, when cash is contributed by the co-venturers, or when goods are sold, when contract price is received, all these will be debited to joint bank account. So joint bank account को debit करेंगे for contribution made by the co-venturers, for sale of goods, for contract price received. So whatever is received, whatever cash is received, that will be debited to joint bank account. And joint bank account is credited for the purchases made, for expenses paid, and finally the amount which is paid to the co-venturers in settlement of their accounts. So after settling the accounts, automatically joint bank account will get closed at the end of the venture. Now joint venture account. Joint venture account is a nominal account which is prepared to find out the profit or loss on joint venture. So it's a nominal account, so all expenses and losses will be debited, all incomes and gains will be credited. So debit side, we take purchase of goods or goods supplied by the co-venturer, expenses paid or expenses paid by the co-venturer, and all these expenses will be debited. And credit side, we take the sale of goods or contract price received. This sale proceeds received and contract price received, this will be taken on the credit side. If the credit side is more than debit side, we can say there is a profit on joint venture. and this profit on joint venture will be transferred to personal account of the co-venturers. If debit side is more than credit side, there is a loss on joint venture. This loss will be transferred to co-venturers account. So at the end of the contract, at the end of the completion of the venture, this account will be closed by transferring the profit or loss to the co-venturers account. Last one, personal account of the co-venturers. तो जितने भी co-venturers है, हर एक co-venturer का अलग अलग पर्सनल अकाउंट बनाएंगे. एग्जांपल 3 co-venturers are there, A, B, C. तो A's account, B's account, C's account. A co-venturers account, B co-venturers account, C co-venturers. 3 personal account. This account is a personal account. So we credit this joint personal account of co-venturer for the amount contributed. जो amount contribute करा है co-venturer, that amount will be taken on the credit side of personal account of co-venturer. And if he has supplied any goods, if he has paid any expenses, that will be credited. And if he has taken some goods, if he has taken the money from the business, then his account will be debited. Then ultimately the profit on joint venture account will be transferred to personal account of co-venturers, and finally the account of co-venturers account will be closed by transferring the balance from joint bank account to personal account of the co-venture. So when separate set of books are maintained, these 3 accounts are normally opened: joint bank account, joint venture account, and personal account of the co-venture. Now journal entries to be recorded. Now you must be acquainted with the entries to be recorded when separate set of books are maintained. The first entry for cash contribution by co-venturers. Suppose there are 2 co-venturers, A and B. So in the beginning itself, the co-venturer may contribute an amount to the venture. A 1 lakh rupees लगा रहा है, B 2 lakh rupees लगा रहा है. तो entry will be joint bank account debtor to personal account of co-venturer. तो entry will be joint bank account debtor to A's account to B's account. So this is the first entry: joint bank account debtor to personal account of co-venturer for cash brought in by the co-venturer. Next, second entry for purchases made. Now the joint venture, they are having the cash from this cash at bank. They are making the payment for purchases. They are purchasing the goods. So entry will be joint venture account debtor to joint bank account. क्योंकि बैंक से पैसा जा रहा है, बैंक को डेबिट तब करेंगे when we receive the cash. When we receive the cash, bank account will be debited. When we pay the cash, bank account will be credited. Now we are paying the cash for the purpose of joint venture. So entry will be joint venture account debtor to joint bank account for the purchase made for joint venture. For goods supplied or expenses paid by the co-venturer. Sometimes some goods are supplied or expenses are paid by the co-venturer. Normally तो expenses pay करना रहता है joint bank account से. अब A और B 2 co-venturers है, दोनों मिलकर 1 लाख 2 लाख रुपीस कंट्रीब्यूट कर दिए, बैंक में पैसा है. अब जो भी मटेरियल परचेस करना है या एक्सपेंसेस पे करना है, बैंक से पे करेंगे. But sometimes it may happen that co-venturer will pay the price, will pay the expenses, or will supply the goods. In that case, we are not making the payment from joint bank, but one of the co-venturer is paying the amount. In that case, the entry will be joint venture account debtor to personal account of co-venturer. अगर बैंक से पे करते हैं तो joint venture account debtor to joint bank. It is not paid from bank account. It is paid by one of the co-venturer. So in that case, entry will be joint venture account debtor to personal account of the co-venturer. Then for expenses paid, many of the expenses are paid from joint bank only. So entry will be joint venture account debtor to joint bank account for expenses paid. For goods sold, when the goods are sold by the joint venture, देखिए, we have already prepared joint bank account. All payments will be made from joint bank account and all receipts will be deposited in joint bank. So when the goods are sold, joint bank account will be debited, joint bank account will be credited, debited, and joint venture account will be credited. बैंक में पैसा आ रहा, बैंक को डेबिट कर देंगे. कैसे, क्यों आ रहा, कहां से आ रहा पैसा? ये बाय सेल ऑफ गुड्स, तो जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट को क्रेडिट करें. So when goods are sold, the entry will be joint bank account debtor to joint venture account. This is joint bank account debtor to joint venture. For shares received, normally this will happen when the joint venture is undertaken, joint venture is made to underwrite the shares of a company. Normally shares कब आते हैं? जब कोई joint venture बनाए हैं for underwriting the shares of a company. एक company को shares underwrite करने के लिए two parties have entered into a joint venture contract. In that case, they will get the shares from the company for their services. अब A और B मिलके कंपनी को सर्विस दे रहे, अंडरराइट करने के लिए, शेयर्स को अंडरराइट करने के लिए सर्विस दे रहे, तो इन रिटर्न द कंपनी इज गिविंग देम शेयर्स. नाउ व्हेन शेयर्स आर रिसीव्ड, द एंट्री विल बी शेयर्स अकाउंट डेटा टू जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट. शेयर्स अकाउंट डेटा टू जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट फॉर सेल ऑफ शेयर्स. अब जो शेयर्स आ गए हैं, वो शेयर्स को अगर बेच दिए तो पैसे आ जाएंगे, तो बैंक अकाउंट को डेबिट करेंगे. तो जॉइंट बैंक अकाउंट डेटा टू शेयर्स अकाउंट, जॉइंट बैंक अकाउंट डेटा टू शेयर्स. शेयर्स जब आए थे तो शेयर्स को डेबिट करें, और शेयर्स जब बेच दे रहे हैं, शेयर्स चला जा रहा है, तो शेयर्स को क्रेडिट कर देंगे, राइट. लेकिन समटाइम्स व्हाट विल हैपन, देयर मे बी सम प्रॉफिट और लॉस ऑन सेल ऑफ शेयर्स. अगर शेयर्स फॉर एग्जांपल 5 लाख रुपीस के शेयर्स रिसीव करें और वो शेयर्स को बेच दिए 5,50,000 रुपए, तो वी हैव रिसीव्ड द शेयर्स फॉर 5 लाख. तो हियर शेयर्स अकाउंट डेटा टू जॉइंट वेंचर 5 लाख. When we sell the shares, we sold the shares for 5,50,000. So joint bank account data to shares account 5,50,000. There's a profit of 50,000. There's a profit of 50,000. That profit will be transferred to joint venture account. That profit will be transferred to joint venture account. So for transfer of profit on sale of shares, shares account data to joint venture account. By passing this entry, shares account will get closed. पहले जब शेयर्स आए थे तो 5 लाख रुपए के आए थे, डेबिट कर दिए. जब शेयर्स को बेचे तो 5,50,000 रुपीस क्रेडिट कर दिए. तो डेबिट साइड पे 5 लाख है, क्रेडिट साइड पे 5,50,000 है. तो 50,000 का जो डिफरेंस आ रहा है वो प्रॉफिट है, तो शेयर्स को डेबिट करेंगे 50,000. शेयर्स अकाउंट डेटा टू जॉइंट वेंचर. बाय पासिंग दिस एंट्री, द शेयर्स अकाउंट विल गेट क्लोज्ड. अगर इसका लॉस हुआ तो रिवर्स दिस एंट्री. अगर फॉर एग्जांपल 5 लाख रुपीस के शेयर्स आए, उसको बेचे 4,50,000, there's a loss of 50,000. In that case, the entry will be joint venture account data to shares account. ये एंट्री को उल्टा कर देंगे, रिवर्स कर देंगे. Joint venture account data to shares account if there is a loss. For goods taken over by a co-venture, sometimes what will happen? Some goods are not sold, some goods are unsold. तो unsold goods may be taken over by one of the co-venturer. कुछ गुड्स बचे हुए हैं, वो बचे हुए गुड्स को एक को-वेंचरर अंडरटेक कर ले रहा. तो एंट्री विल बी पर्सनल अकाउंट ऑफ को-वेंचरर्स अकाउंट डेटा टू जॉइंट वेंचर. तो पर्सनल अकाउंट ऑफ को-वेंचरर्स अकाउंट डेटा टू जॉइंट वेंचर. तो जॉइंट वेंचर को क्रिएट करेंगे. अगर बेचते तो जॉइंट बैंक अकाउंट डेटा टू जॉइंट वेंचर. अगर गुड्स बेचते तो जॉइंट बैंक अकाउंट डेटा टू जॉइंट वेंचर. लेकिन बेच नहीं रहे हैं, but one of the partner, one of the co-partner, one of the co-venturer, he is taking over the goods. So entry will be co-venturers account data to joint venture when goods are taken over by one of the co-venturer. Next is for commission or interest payable to co-venturer. If there is any agreement, कभी ऐसा होता है कि A और B दो co-venturers हैं, इसमें contribution जो लग रहा है वो पूरा A लगा रहा है, और B जो कर रहा है he is putting all effort in selling the goods. In that case, there is an agreement that A is contributing so much of funds, so interest is allowed, and B is working so hard, so commission is to be paid to B. If there is such agreement regarding interest or commission payable to co-venturer, there is an agreement. In that case, the entry will be joint venture account data to co-venturer's personal account for interest or commission payable to any of the co-venturer. Then for transfer of profit, अब ये सारी पूरे एंट्रीज होने के बाद we have to find out whether there is a profit or loss on joint venture. If credit side is more, joint venture के credit side पे ज्यादा है, debit side पे कम है, तो there is a profit. The entry will be joint venture account data to co-venturers account. Joint venture account data to co-venturers account. This entry is for profit. अगर if there is a loss on joint venture, अगर joint venture में loss हो गया, डेबिट साइड ज्यादा हो गया, क्रेडिट साइड कम है, तो फिर co-venturers account data to joint venture. Last, for settlement of co-venturers accounts. Finally, the accounts of the co-venturers should be settled, closed. अब जो पैसा joint बैंक में है, वो joint बैंक का पैसा co-venturer को दे देंगे. तो entry will be co-venturers account data to joint bank account. By passing this entry, co-venturers account will get closed, joint bank account will get closed. So this is a simple method where separate set of books are maintained. So again I repeat, when separate set of books of accounts are maintained, 3 accounts are open: joint bank, joint venture and co-venturers personal account. And these are the entries. So you have to be thorough on the entries. Logically you have to think which account should be debited and which account should be credited. What are the possibilities of the journal entries? What type of transaction may take place in joint venture?